Welcome back to Super Thief. I'm William H, and today I'll be sharing our picks for the top 10 brutal moments from Amazon Prime Video's first season of Invincible. Given its innocent-looking Saturday morning cartoon art style, those unfamiliar with the comics may have been a little surprised by just how graphic and savage this show can get. And we'll be counting down those moments that hit the absolute hardest. But before we begin, take heed because there are some spoilers incoming. Number 10. Rex bullies the wrong girl. With episode 1's finale meaning the end of the Guardians of the Globe, episode 3 shows us the tryouts for the potential new members. A recurring theme among the would-be recruits is that good old saying, never underestimate your opponent. The one getting the hardest lesson though is series douche RIHANNA. Things go sour quickly for him when he bullies the seemingly pubescent monster girl. Freeing the beast inside, the new Guardian absolutely goes to town on Rex and his ego, needing Invincible to step in and save him. Brutal and nasty? Definitely. But the guy did have it coming. Number 9. The end of DAMIEN DARKBLOOD. One of the many interesting characters the show deftly introduces, the demon DAMIEN DARKBLOOD solves crimes to keep himself out of hell. When the Guardians of the Globe are murdered, he initially works with Cecil to investigate. The evidence then quickly points the demon detective to the lone survivor, ONMI-MAN. Although Cecil shares his suspicions, he's not ready to pursue the most powerful being on the planet just yet. And when DARKBLOOD refuses to let up, Cecil goes into business mode and sends him straight to hell, showing us just how cold and utilitarian he is prepared to be. Number 8. Titan strolls through warehouse. After Invincible defeats him in the season opener, Titan quickly finds himself back on the streets. Then, in the opening scene of episode 5, we see him bulldoze his way through a gang-filled warehouse. With his stone skin brushing off their gunfire, he goes to town on the gang members with some OP blunt force. Titan chooses to spare the young remaining gang member so he can deliver a message. But when he turns his back, the scared boy still fires his shotgun at him. Annoyed, Titan still lets him go, showcasing that he is a killer but not without humanity, adding even more moral ambiguity to the show. Number 7. RIHANNA suicide. Episode 6 starts off with the kidnapping of stereotypically arrogant frat boy Doug. We then learn that he's been taken by the crazed Professor D.A. Sinclair, who subjects him to some seriously demented experiments to turn him into his mindless cyborg servant. During Mark's visit to the college, brainwashed and disfigured cyborg Doug starts wildly attacking the students. After Mark puts on his Invincible costume and defeats him, Doug briefly regains some mental presence. And when he realizes what's become of him, he immediately takes his own life. Maybe just a minor, arrogant side character, it was still a gruesome end to watch. Number 6. The death and birth of Rudy. Maybe the most mysterious character on the show, the hero robot's persona and backstory are slowly revealed over the season, with everything culminating in episode 7. Robot had enlisted the Mahler twins to bioengineer a living boy, and they're disgusted when they find out that Robot is in fact controlled by the severely deformed Rudy Connors, who is confined to life in a protective pod. Together, the three finish the new body to go with the copy of Rudy's mind. But the transfer of consciousness is too much for original Rudy, who dies with the comfort that his clone will live outside the pod and has a shot at romance with Monster Girl. Altogether though, the scene is such a brutal one because we learn how hard the life of the original Rudy must have been. Number 5. FLAXANS meet omni-man. In the show's second episode, we see the teen team duke it out with the FLAXANS multiple times. With the FLAXANS heralding from a dimension where time flows differently, they have decades to perfect their world-conquering strategy while only weeks pass on Earth. And when they return yet again, they're too much for the team to handle. But then OMNI-MAN steps in. First, he makes quick and snappy work of the aliens on Earth, but he also follows them to their homeworld. There, we see him completely eviscerate their race in a blood-drenched montage. But maybe the most foreboding of it all is when he returns to Earth with the demeanor of someone who basically just finished a middle-of-the-week gym session. Can we really trust this all-powerful mustache? Number 4. Immortal's second shot at the title. With the show rapidly approaching its climax, Cecil now realizes that Nolan must be stopped, so he starts throwing everything and the kitchen sink at him. Just as Cecil's trump card, a giant kaiju, appears to be working, Mark steps in to help out his father. At the same time though, the Mauler twins resurrect Immortal. With his rage overpowering his control collar, he bursts toward OMNI-MAN to get revenge for killing him and the other Guardians. At first, he seems able to hold his own, but Nolan soon takes over and literally breaks Immortal apart in the most brutal way imaginable. But with Mark and the news cameras registering it, this savage scene does lead to the world waking up to the real intentions of the mighty Viltrumite. Number 3. Ambush at Machine Head Tower. After Titan explains to Invincible that he's being controlled by his boss Machine Head, the two confront the crime boss at his tower. But the mechanical villain had seen this coming and hired some serious additional muscle. With Invincible and Titan outnumbered by Machine Head's bodyguards, they get their asses handed to them. Luckily though, backup arrives in the form of the new Guardians of the Globe. Although things look up at first, Invincible and the Guardians incur a serious beatdown, with Monster Girl Invincible and Black Samson left on the brink of death by a bored Thok the Battle Beast. With Machine Head taken into custody, the episode is capped off by the brutal revelation that Titan was also just using the nearly beaten to death Mark to take over his boss's empire. Number 2. The Guardians of the Globe Massacre. The very first episode eases viewers into the show with its vibrant colors and light humor, mostly playing out like your run-of-the-mill teenager gets superpowers wrong. We get to know the superhero team, the Guardians of the Globe, as they stop the Mauler twins' attack on the White House. During the drawn-out battle scene, each of the Guardians is pretty well established, leading us to think that they'll be series mainstays. But then we get to the episode's jaw-dropping end. Here OMNI-MAN brutally takes out every last one of them. Some manage to put up more of a fight than others, but ultimately, in a scene drenched in blood, all fall to the all-powerful Viltrumite. Number 1. Father vs. Son. Invincible's first season's phenomenal final episode starts with Nolan dropping the bomb on Mark that he's been preparing Earth to be conquered by his people, the Viltrumites. When Mark declines his offer to join him, Nolan is not very pleased. An epic father-son battle kicks off, resulting in some immense destruction and countless dead bystanders. As Nolan's beatings go on and on, he insistently tries to force his views onto his son, including the especially brutal revelation that he basically sees Mark's mother, his own wife, as a pet. But then, luckily, while beating Mark to the absolute edge of his life, Nolan has a flashback to his son's childhood. Showing a grasp of, well, let's call it humanity, he spares Mark and leaves Earth, leaving the entire planet left speculating what to expect from him next. So what did you think of our picks? Let us know in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all our upcoming content.